rebirth on after another of the six realms are the result of our own action, which whether positive or negative, are attained by the clinging. It's say like this, but in Tibet, it's a kind of a discontaminated body, and also it's like when we are reborn in the cycle of the samsara, and our body is like contaminated body. And why it says, because it's like when we be in the samsara, that means we have the defects of the samsara. That is the contaminated body. Then this contaminated body itself, it has taken rebirth again and again, and again old age, sickness, and also again dying, death. And these appearances, the kind of the cycle, by cause of our action, like kind of by the positive action and the negative actions. Once, for example, we are be in the human existence or obtain the human body and doubt with the freedoms and advantages. And that is like a wonderful body, but still is the contaminated. Why? Because it has sufferings. And if there is no the pollution of negative actions, and then we cannot perceive the samsaric appearances. And in the samsara, and there are contaminated, but also there are the happy, like same as we are. At the moment, our body sometimes is like fantastic, healthy. Everything looks like a body of the God. But still we are not freedom from the birth, old age, sickness, death, and other sufferings. Because that is the contaminated by the negative action of the past. My meaning is like whenever we reborn again in the samsara, there is the contaminate, like a contamination. Then it's like a contaminated body. We already, this one is not free from this kind of sufferings. Then now it's like an uncontaminated body. It is the enlightened. Maybe it's like externally when we are in the samsara, but inner mind is go beyond that. Probably you haven't got any kind of torture and difficult sufferings experience inside. Then it's like your body is also like not contaminated. This is example of the like rainbows. Of course, now when we look at this present, our precious human existence, and it itself also is like death of the impermanent, or death and impermanence. And this is like contaminate, and this result of the maybe negative actions on the past. Then it's like contaminated because you have the suffering of the birth, old age, sickness, death, so on. And once occurring the impermanent, like a kind of we are carrying the burden of suffering of the birth, old age, sickness, to push, carried by this sort of the sufferings until the moment of the death. The death in this life. And that moment, we have the great sufferings. Like in the intermediate state of between dissolution and completely death, or after the separation of body and mind. And when it starts the dissolution, like losing, collapsing, this human existence, strife, impermanent. And of course, there are such sufferings. And the moment of meeting what you receive, the father and mother seed, meeting in the level of the heart. And that moment, kind of the such suffering of the lost consciousness or unconsciousness. When we wake up or enter the next wake up, we recover to coming kind of back the alive, kind of wake up from that moment. Then you can call that the intermediate state, the between of your death and the next rebirth. Maybe from the losing your consciousness, you kind of wake up. You will not at the first recognize that we are dead or not. When we are telling to weeping relatives and friends, and crying, and kind of the different tears, and maybe it's like you look at them, or we look at them, say, why you are crying? I'm here. Of course, they neither see you or hear you. Maybe we wonder, whether we are dead or not. And these kind of situations, who can to help? And also that moment, we are comes from the samsara of the human realms, and we are also is going to next realms. Which realms we don't know. We need to take the contaminated body again. If we make liberation our mind from polluted of the disturbing emotions and the habitual negative tendencies, obscuration, so on. Then maybe we will check and find that self to make the shadow in the sun, but there is no shadow because no physical body. Also, it's like kind of same way. Try to check your footprints in the sand or in the mud or any on the ground. Maybe it's like it doesn't make any footprintings. And also maybe we can do action on the water, mirror, any kind of. But there's no appears. Maybe we will realize that we are truly dead. And then, of course, we have a panic, terrified. We will hear 4 kind of terrifying sound. 4 terrifying sound. Because that moment maybe still the sound of the collapsion or demolition of our universal, of our individual body. Like a kind of the sound, the whole universal, shaking from the bases, like that is our body element of the earth. And also is the second sound, like the whole cosmology of the billions universe, rugging with the fires. It's the same of the demolition of our universal, our own individual cosmology of this body. The cosmology of this universe of the body, billions living beings of the bacterians, kind of the burning up by the fires. Of course, there's no fire, but sound can make the terrified. And sometimes the third sound also, and the kind of the and by the wind. And like kind of the scattered our body, make the different particles into the space. This kind of wind sound, very much unpleasant. And the fourth sound, it is the whole like kind of cosmology of the balance our body, or universal, our body, swept away by the water. We have this kind of experience. You imagine like a kind of the tsunamis. Of course, there is no tsunami, but this kind of sound can occur. And in this situation, what can we do? Who can to help? Maybe may we call our dear friends, families, but they can't to see us, we can't to see them, we can't hear to them, they can't to hear us. This kind of dreadful sound, and also sometimes there are three awful a basis of the whole, and kind of the darkness under the shadow. And three experience occurring by our disturbing emotion of disattachment, aversion, and ignorant. Sometimes may we have kind of appearances is like kind of red. Everything is like a kind of the butter place. Looks like blood everywhere. Such panic, terrified. But that is, we can to say, the appearances of the disturbing emotion, the disattachment. Sometimes, like kind of the white appearances, not colorly, but it's like mud, unclean, smells, falling into the, or singing on something. This is the appearances result by the aversion. Of course, sometimes unclean, foggy, darkness, and search from that dreadful sound occurring. And also it looks like a falling into like this. And that moment, how we can to recognize this kind of different appearances and experience. If we study something, maybe it is self-appearances. maybe not truly existence, these different appearances. Just like kind of the shadow of the mind. Maybe sometimes those appearances are the natural radiance from the desire, attachment, aversion, ignorance. And maybe in that moment, when some who did some positive things, maybe they can to pierce or receive some appearances, ndakinis, kind of to make the liberation, showing the path. And they can to go more upward for the direction of the liberation. And also someone has such negative actions. Maybe it's ugly, different appearances. According that, maybe it's going to more down. And like this, then it's like this kind of situations occurring before we take the contaminated body into the different samsaras. Therefore, we're talking about the here's contaminated body. And also, when we have been wandering since beginningless time in this samsaric world in which every being is. When we are wandering in the samsara at the beginningless times until in this present moment, we traveled into the samsara. We took the rebirth, different place in the samsara, but not yet liberated. And changing again, contaminate body, create such a pollution, the cause of the contaminate body, and reborn again and again in the contaminated contain of in the samsara. And now we need to analyze. I don't know when it starts, my journey into the samsara. I'm talking about the beginningless times. Beginningless time is no certainty. Aspiration prayer of the seventh Buddhas. Before the wandering in the samsara or to be the nirvana or the Buddha, like a paralysis of our consciousness, it's not sentient beings, it's not the Buddha. From this statement, something occurring, like the same as our present, our mind. May some people thinking that at the beginning it's a long time, because we don't need to think about that, I think. Because in the present moment, when we look very carefully at our minds, certainly is a thought is coming. Where is this thought is coming? Who created? Who give kind of the suggestions to make the thoughts? Who pushed? Nobody's. Self. Naturally. Automatic. And one moment, your thoughts. One moment. Like you can to become Buddha. You can to become samsaric sentient beings. But at the moment, each moment, there is the kind of make the course of the samsara, rebirth. When we look at our mind, thoughts is the flourish. But these thoughts, maybe one is the start of the thoughts. That moment to recognize something, that moment you become the enlightenment. That's all. Nothing needs to more further go. But at the moment, we have some negative influence, tendencies. Maybe at the beginning, many lifetimes, or even in this life. 100%. Before you take the birth into this mother, this world, before you enter into the mother's womb, also that moment your mind is like kind of the moved. Maybe that moment is the beginningless times. Or maybe we are reborn again and again and again and again in this samsara, contaminated, contained. Maybe it's difficult to count. And the Nagarjuna said, this earth you can to make like kind of the pill to can count. But our mother's mother, impossible to count. Sometimes this happened, surely. But we say it's like co-emergency ignorant, co-emergency rigpa, blah, blah, blah. Co-emergency. Beginning. Beginning is each moment. Most people say maybe you can to put questions. At the beginning when? At the beginning. Then it's how it is the mind. Why you say that before that time samsara and nirvana is not like kind of cannot call. That is you thinking in the really past. But beginning means it's in this moment. We look at the thoughts, naturally occurring. And the thoughts is occurring at that moment, it's the beginning. When it's like we become enlightenment, or samsara now is like each moment there is like kind of turning into the samsaric mind, But now we are like be on the path, we turn this one to change. One is like kind of the using technique, Buddha's teachings. And this is the moment when you start the thought, that is the beginning. That moment we realize that something, be enlightened. Then it's enlightened way. That is the beginningless times. There's many you need to talk about. But anyway, if we reborn again and again, wandering during the travel into the samsara. And of course, we have such relations of affection. Those samsaric sentient beings, through the kindness, love, falling in love, or taking care, affections, relation affections. Enmity and different with the very other beings, Sometimes they become enemy. Sometimes they become like a best friend. Sometimes they're neutral. And affections is empty and different with very other beings. Everyone has been everyone else, father and mother. Like everyone has been, everyone means sometimes it's the neutral, not father, not mother. And sometimes, of course, there's such affections, like they become our father, the mother. And therefore, he said, in the sutta, it said that if you wish to count back the generations of the mother in your family, saying, she has my mother's mother, and that grandmother's is mother like this, then mother's mother's like this, mother's mother like this. Her mother's like this, was no aunt, so on. You cannot count. And so on, using little pills of the earth as big as the jumpers, juniper berry to the count them. I have one question. Juniper. Which one is juniper? Juniper berry. Do you know juniper berry? Huh? Which one is? Juniper is which one? Berry? Which berry? Huh? And the cabbage.
We use for recipe with cabbage, white cabbage. It is very
Size? Color? Juniper. For example, we put in the juniper tree. That is the juniper. Huh? No? Which juniper? Blackberry.
blackberry, light blueberry in size and in color.
Not this one is. Juniper. No, this is not juniper, sorry. There's two kinds of the juniper. One is like we put this around. It itself has fruits. We cannot eat. Sometimes make the mala. Okay? And another one I discovered this side, like this. Red and very soft you eat. And sometimes in China they put in the tea. Huh? No. Yes, this one. No, this is a little bit, I'm not sure, but looks like. Yeah, can you show to them? I'm still searching juniper. berry, okay, juniper berry. To count them, say, the whole earth would be used up before you had counted them all. Say. But as we count the mother's mother, mother's mother, mother's mother, impossible to count. Also, it's like here is more clearly, how to say, it's like here is like kind of the more in the English. She has my mother's mother, say. Jigme. In Tibet, it's like the lineage of the mother. Maybe you can to say. Sometimes to say is like you took your like kind of mother. That is my mother. That is my mother. If you count, that is also sometimes they say it. But here is more clearly to say the mother's mother, mother's mother, mother's mother, or you can say father's father, father's father. You can. And like this kind of, we are like this. There is the quotation from Lord Nagarjuna says, we would run out of the earth, try to count our mother, with the bowl of the clay, the size of the juniper berries. Like the ending of the counting of the mother's mother is impossible. But when we make the earth to size of the juniper and to count, it's possible. It is like a count of our rebirths. Now, very important is why we need to think about that. And that time is when we attack the rebirth. And in this world, and become our father and the mother, and also it's like the friend. It doesn't matter, it's like almost there is no kind of the neutrals. Or maybe there is neutral. But when we have the relation or to be our parents, how it says in the first chapter, they are very kind, they look after us, and they give the best food, clothes, and very much kind to us, only the thinking us. Now maybe those our relative, families, who knows, and like kind of to reborn in this samsara. And now, like ourselves, it is very important to concern. I'm obtained the human existence. I account peerless or your like spiritual friend. I received the teaching of the Buddha. I have now it's like a great opportunity to do some benefit for them, myself. And also it's in this life. And also there is another examples. There is not a single form of the life that we have not taken throughout beginningless samsara until now. Maybe how many times reborn again in the hell, hungry ghost, animal. How many times we reborn again in the samsara? Maybe countless times. But we never done something liberation activities. Maybe we born again, demigod, how much we killing each other. Maybe reborn in the God realms, how much we enjoyed all the pleasure things. Never satisfied, again we fell into in the inferior realms. And therefore, we are turning, wandering into the again in the samsaras until right now. And also according to our desire have led us innumerable time to have our head and limbs cut off. It's true. And something is like when we have desire, even we need to spend our life to cut the head, arm, legs, limbs, we can spend. How much we did once we are obtained the human existence. We can take example. For example, someone has such a desire attachment to the money. And in the kind of the concerning the money, according to the desire attachments, we are robber, become the robber, burglar, and like we are many times victims in order to get the money. How we become the mafias, manipulate, and in order to earn money, we can to spend our life. But we earn billions put into the bank account, then we died by the coronavirus. What would the money is useful? But we did this kind of many times. Not only money, gold, partner, diamond, any kind of according to desire. We do horrible things. We don't care the shame, embarrassed. We don't care about the life. We don't care the any so strong desire. How much killing, stealing, all the 10 negative actions we are doing. Therefore, he said, is how many lifetimes. And there are all these things to put together, these situations, it's terrible. And also we try to pile up in one place all the limbs we have lost when we were ant and the other small insect. The pile would be the higher than the mountain murals. It doesn't matter ant or insect, animal, humans. How much times we are like kind of the lost our part of the body. And when we collect to them, same times, is even the mountain mirrors become the very small. Maybe it's also we can to say the weeping tears collected, maybe it's nothing enough specific oceans, bigger than the deeper than the oceans. And also they said is how much we drink it. Kind of the quantity in the hell realms, like a lava or the hot melt irons, liquid, maybe huge. How much we have had experience through the samsara. In the one we are wandering into the samsaras, sometimes there's no food. They say the tears we have the wept from the cold, hunger, cold for your body, hunger for your mouth and stomach, and mouth. Thirsty is, of course, also is stomach. We were without food, clothing, and they not all die up, collected one place. I think it's double than the Pacific Oceans. Would make an ocean larger than the great oceans surround the world. How many times we reborn again and again into the samsara. Then how it is the defects of the samsara? How is the situation of the samsara? When we analyze in the defects of the samsaras, and we can too say, like kind of the which place is the samsara? Who is going again and again there? How we are traveling around and around in there? Which kind of course? And so on. Now we are talking about this environmental place of the samsara. And there's nothing kind of the almost the happiness difficult to say. Of course, there is the action of the positive. Sometimes we have but this happiness is very small. Almost it is like kind of the nothing. And therefore, we need to analyze again and again how is the situation of the samsara. When we are thinking about the hell, hot hell, cold hell, neighborhood 16 hells, so on, how much there are the sufferings. Of course, we are going to study, but we need to analyze. May I mention to you, may you think, who created? Where? Hells? Maybe under the Buddha Gaya. Who installed there? But this is, we can't say, but maybe it's not externally Buddha Gaya. The inner, our own individual Buddha Gaya. The Buddha Gaya of the natural reality or the minds. There is under theirs. Like same as the present moment. In the present moment, we have a beautiful Buddha nature. Extraordinary Buddha nature. Below there is awful hell. Disturbing emotions. Make sad, panic, terrify, anxieties. That is the under the Buddha Gaya of the Buddha nature. Nobody's put there. Naturally, created by itself. And also it's the hungry ghosts, animal animals. It's same. But now is why you are talking about the 6 realms. This is just roughly Buddha, he say. It's not the kind of the Hindu systems. This is like kind of the not definitions. 6 realms, we can to say, is already occurring into our human realms. We can look at our human families. Some in our human family living in the very cold area, almost frozen, 40, 50 degrees under zero. Sometimes no food. They're killing other animals. They're waiting hours. And all the mustache like bears, eyes, but not dead, but still looking for food. Cold, living in the ice. But they are not pleasant, sure. And also it's some insect that you don't need to mention. Winter times they become ice. Summer they become alive again. You can to look. Now easy. And also in the human I'm says, like this, sometimes in the some place, tremendous cold, extreme cold, no food, no shelter properly, no clothes. And it is kind of the cold hell, hot hell, some in our human existence, some in the place, exactly the same, cold. How it's cold, hot? The Celsius or the hot degrees maybe 40, almost 50, burning. They are searching no food, searching for insect. If they found insect, they have lunch. Dinner, no found, they need to be hungry. Not properly food. In this perspective, that is the human ghost. The hungry ghost. Look, some human beings, like animals, under the control of the others, torch, make terrible things. Whatever someone's doing to you, kill, give death panic, according to our actions. Or maybe it's like someone's very much slave under the control of others. It's a human being, but it's animal elements. We have this experience. Of course, there's specifically animal elements we can to see. Hunger, ghost elements, hell elements. Then we can to see the human as a human. We understood that human elements, we are living now. We say, I'm human, you are human. How it is? We never experience humans. Like a kind of the pig eating some food. Pig never tasted. Most like kind of cannibal eaters like this. Oh, finished. Stomach, something is like become big, that means it's the food full. And we're born in the human animals, but we never experienced the human situation. When we died, maybe after some, you went in the human realms, how it is? I'm very sorry, I don't know. Now I need to think again, it's very funny. But when we be in the humans, we don't think about, I maybe I'm a jackal or something, and that's all. And never is like appreciate, never experiment, never explore about these situations. But this is like really reality. Touchable, seeable is realms, the human, like animals. Then it's like a demigods. In our realms, there is demigod. Some countries, all times war, bloodshed, all the times, constantly. War, fighting, killing. Of course, this is, you can't say the human realms, but these appearances of the demigod realms. And the God realms, of course, in the humans, someone's rich, high position, everyday party, joy, like God realms. Therefore, we can to like count the 6 realms already in the human realms. But specifically, you can to say that is her realm, that is Hungary, that is them. But this is like kind of this 6 situation is roughly you have. Of course, you can go to the very deeply, maybe there's many different. Even the hells, how many realms? Even the hunger ghosts, there how many realms? Even the animus realms, there are so many different categorization of the experience. Like same as our human realms. Look, in someone's good experience, good appearances, someone has bad, like this. And therefore, it is very, very important to analyze the samsara, how it is. And particularly we need to explore or like to check up our own human realms. Of course, like we here say, that even the amount of the molten copper we have swallowed, and the hell would be the vaster than the 4 great oceans. Like kind of the maybe it's like, yeah, why, which kind of this situation possible? If we done some negative things, like maybe it's like some these days, the ancient times, you done some, you like killed, you become murder, and it's you did something, then you got by the law. Maybe it's they caught, put prisoner, torched. Maybe how much it's like kind of, maybe sometimes they can burn, they give you hot water put on your mouth. Like this is kind of hell. But maybe it's when it's like we did some such negative, the experience of the hell. Surely there is. We be reborn in the hell, and they trusted us in the huge container, and inside this the melted iron liquid, how much we drink it. Maybe it's to collect, maybe it's the size of the oceans. Yet all beings bound to the realms of the samsara by their desire and attachment, ignorance, jealousy, so on, so on, so on, so on, so on. But we are still, there is no hesitation, no renunciation, no determination. Still we have desire attached to the samsara. With never in instance remorse, we'll have to undergo still more suffering in these endless cycles. Like a kind of when we eat in the poisons, very delicious, then of course we have a terrible pain experience after this ate it. But we have such a disattachment to this poisoned food, and then it's like we eating again, we are again sick, we eat again, we are dying again, we eat again, we are sick again. Is it true? Am I doing like this? Absolutely. Probably you not. I understood the defects of the samsara, but I have such a disattachment. What can I do? Can you give me advice? And if you want to go out of these defects of the samsara, how you can do? You do not need to believe the Buddha. You don't need to believe this book. You do not believe to me. Do not believe, but you need to believe yourself. Would you like to be in the samsara, or you want to go out of the samsara? If you don't want, why you need to analyze? To be like this. Okay. And you have such want to go again. Okay? You know, there's the history, 2 men in London, they met each other. The both reality is both is the prisoners. They talk each other. One person says, tomorrow I'm going out. Oh? And then I'm going to home. Then I need to dishwash. My wife, she has a coffee bar near the train stations. And next month I'm going to rob again banks. Why? Then I can go back to the prisoner. I'm happy there. Other one says, tomorrow I'm going out. My wife's waiting outside. Then she will take me into the wonderful restaurant. We eat there, and then we go home. Next time I never do some criminal things again. I hated in the prisoner. Like this, different purpose, different positions, different wish. Therefore, we are studying this book. For me, it's a very such and such benefit. I don't know how much you have the benefit. If you have some benefit, please to more analyze, to check. Maybe you are happy, you are rich, you are intelligent, but your family is not like this. You forgot your family? You do not think about your family? If you don't, what can we do? We day and night cry, weeping, calling to say to do, can you think about us? Maybe you no compassion, you don't think about. Maybe we are the sinking into the mud of the samsara. We call you, help, now you say, oh, poor you, this is your past negative action, bye-bye. How we can do? We just send a tear, look at you. But you can to laugh to us, but taking care of one day yourself. Who knows? Everything is very much changeable. Today you make proud, tomorrow embarrassing things happen for you. I think this is a very important. For me, is this sort of the text is a very benefit. It's a very much telling truth. This is a reality like this. If I'm taking care, I'm thinking to my family of the samsara, I'm good. Why not? Every day to generate bodhicitta, may I never harm to the beings, may I to be the useful for the sentient beings. I'm very happy, proud. And I may explore the situation of those my families and the samsaric sentient beings. It's wonderful, make me very happy. Whoever to come close to me, I think is happy. Like this. Therefore, I think so we should. But of course, I'm very stupid. I'm very much like kind of selfish, foolish. It's like very difficult to think about other sentient beings, but we need to. Now your questions, timers. Yes, exactly 12 o'clock. We are follow up the completely schedule, and you can to send those and they translate to me. I try to give you answer. If answer is not very good, don't become angry. Okay, who has questions? Yes. Read. Okay, first question.
Rinpoche, Daria asks, could Rinpoche, could Daria asks,
Okay.
Tasha.
Russia.
She asks, Rinpoche, could you explain what exactly is being reborn in samsara? Mind, alaya, soul, brain, mental consciousness, energy, subtle body, or what? Thanks. Mind.
Second question.
Kali asks,
Kali is who's? Okay, doesn't matter. Where is come from? Okay.
Rinpoche, could you explain what is meant by the equanimity of samsara and nirvana?
Equanimity. And that is like the essence nature of the dirty water, clean water, is the equanimity. water you can make clean because of the essence. And the clean water you can make dirty because of the essence. All the essence of water is equanimity for the dirty and the clean is same. Therefore, it's the base like samsara and nirvana is the same. There's no different. You understand the base of the samsara and nirvana, then samsara nirvana is become the equal. And third question.
Romald Motika asks, Rinpoche, can you Romald? Bojan. Rinpoche, can you explain more about being liberated on appearing thought?
Liberation appearing thought. This is, I think, is Buchen, a little high questions. Maybe later we can talk. Fourth, no question. Okay, French. Okay.
Olga Amirova asks, why should we lose memory of past lives or how the process of dying happened? Is there any way to regain these memories? Seems if one could remember past lives, this would help get rid of the doubts of nihilism.
Yes. Not necessarily concentrate on the past, their lives. Even that this, like in this life, what we done, most is we forgot it, yes? And in this perspective, according to our ignorance, the obscurations, and according to that, of course, difficult to remember on the past life. Even this life, on the 2-3 years ago, what we done, we forgot it. That you can to clean your mind, then you can to remember all on the past life. Death process, you need to clean up this kind of ignorant and inner like confusion. Then death process become very clearly no process. No question. Yes, French? He asked, yes?
That you sent the other day, where you mentioned that you want to. Well, you mentioned this disaster. So you want to quickly eliminate this disaster when you speak about coronavirus. But she says this situation is also something that is a good opportunity for the earth and the environment to regenerate and to become more peaceful and quiet. So why do you use this expression, eliminate quickly this disaster?
I think they not in order to make it in the peace or something, then they need to our families to die. Okay, la. Maybe, and according to these questions, and some is like people's, okay, like kind of the two holiday together and to make peace this word, blah, 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 but it's my perspective. For example, I myself, if I'm losing to some of my families, I'll be very sad. If I'm says like I need to make this environment like kind of make nice in this world, and then I tell to my family is someone better to die than I'm not sure. You died, I will enjoy it after. I need to say that. I think this is horrible. And maybe someone has this, oh, this is like kind of the old people, maybe sick, and it's like difficult to look after. Some maybe chose kind of bad wish. Oh, our parents all the time in the hospital, they spend all the monies, and better to they die. Coronavirus to kill to them. Then we got to the money and like kind of the what you thinks. Maybe it's these situations, it's like you have a very bad motivation. It's a very much negative emotion, negative aspiration. And like this, everybody wants to be alive. Everybody's to try to make the peace. Everybody's to do something in the world nicely. To them, it's like if you died, okay, world is become nice. I will enjoy to dinner. I think that's not very good motivation. Okay, no question. Oh yeah, I think it's a little bit too early, but maybe today's experience, maybe tomorrow, maybe we can to say it's like 11:45. Until there, I will continue. Then quarter to 12, we can to start. It's just 10 minutes. We done. Huh? But then why you says you know question? Okay, what's now?
Pavel Savic, Polish. Oh. Polish.
Rinpoche, when you're...
Okay. Yes.
He asks, why the display of primordial awareness, Buddha as we call it, become the sentient beings? Why the display of primordial awareness? Display? Why the display? The display. Why the display of primordial awareness? Appearance, display of primordial awareness, Buddha as we call it, become the sentient beings. Why does primordial awareness become the sentient being?
Why not? Answer it. Okay, why not? Primordial wisdom is not fixated. Primordial wisdom is never falling into any extremes. Primordial wisdoms become anything else. You, me, and bread, butter, and house, and dolphin, shark, and crocodile, everything. Primordial wisdom is fixated and cannot become the sentient beings. And other? Agbuchan's question is, I will tomorrow, okay? Liberation, how to make liberation thoughts. Okay, we can stop there. And tomorrow we are 12, the quarter to 12, then we can start a question answer, okay? Yeah. Stop. Shoncho Sancho Rinpoche, Mashi Pana Shi Pa Nyamba Mepa, Koni Konda Pera Sho.